Merchant guilds. In the often chaotic world of the medieval period, society was largely agricultural. Yet, as towns and cities began to swell, a new kind of social and economic structure emerged: the guild. These weren't merely clubs. Guilds were powerful organizations, shaping local economies, protecting their members, and upholding strict standards of craftsmanship. They arose in part from the need for order and security, often operating alongside local authorities in an age of limited centralized regulation. The earliest and arguably most foundational type of guild was the merchant guild, pioneers of the system alongside religious confraternities and craft brotherhoods. But the rise of guilds was not uniform across Europe. Before specialized crafts dominated, trade itself was king. Merchants, the lifeline of growing towns, faced perilous journeys, rampant banditry, and unfair taxes. Thus, these associations of traders formed, driven by the immediate need for collective protection and commerce regulation. Their influence reached across borders and seas, laying the groundwork for all future guild structures by setting a precedent for mutual support and control over specific economic activity. Their primary goal was to secure monopolies on trade within their towns, ensuring only their members could buy and sell certain goods, thereby limiting competition and stabilizing prices. They dictated market days, set weights and measures, and ensured fair dealing among members. These guilds often held significant political power, frequently advising or even forming the town councils. Some merchant guilds formed or joined trading leagues, such as the Hanseatic League, which negotiated treaties and secured trading privileges, guaranteeing safe passage and favorable trading conditions for their members. Some merchant guilds even maintained armed guards to protect convoys of goods. Still, most did not maintain their own guards, but paid for protection or relied on local rulers. Craftsmen guilds. As towns grew and economies diversified, specialized craft guilds emerged, building upon the foundations laid by their merchant predecessors. These guilds focused on specific trades: bakers, shoemakers, weavers, masons, goldsmiths, and many more, and became the true backbone of urban production. Their aim was to control the quality of goods, the methods of production, and the training of new craftsmen, ensuring that every product bearing their mark met rigorous standards. This dedication to quality and training would define the medieval artisan for centuries. Entry into a craft guild followed a strict hierarchical path. A young person, often beginning between the ages of 10 and 14, would be formally bound to a master craftsman for several years, typically 7. During this time, they received no pay, only food, lodging, and an intensive education in the trade. They lived with the master's family, learning discipline and the basic skills. After completing their apprenticeship, they became a journeyman, meaning day worker. They were now skilled laborers, paid for their work but not yet independent. To gain more experience, journeymen often traveled from town to town, working for different masters, honing their craft, and learning new techniques. To prove their skill and creativity, a journeyman had to produce a masterpiece, a work of exceptional quality that demonstrated their full command of the trade. This period of travel and practical application was crucial before achieving true autonomy. If the masterpiece was approved by the guild masters, and if the journeyman could pay the significant fees, they could finally become a master. A master could open their own workshop, take on apprentices, and vote on guild matters. This was the pinnacle of a craftsman's career. Tailors Guild. For a society where clothing was both a necessity and a display of status, the Tailors Guild held considerable influence. They crafted garments for everyone from the poorest peasant to the wealthiest noble, adhering to strict guidelines for fabric quality, stitching, and fit. Members were responsible for cutting, sewing, and embellishing clothing, ensuring proper measurements and fashionable designs. Their needles and shears shaped the very appearance of medieval society, defining style and practicality for the population. Brewers Guild. In an age before widespread clean drinking water, beer was a staple, making the Brewers Guild a vital and often surprisingly wealthy institution. These guilds regulated the production of ale and beer, ensuring consistency in taste, quality, and alcohol content. They controlled the sourcing of grains, hops, and yeast, and often set limits on how much could be brewed to prevent shortages or oversupply. Brewers' guilds frequently held significant economic power, supplying a fundamental part of the daily diet. Their craft provided not just sustenance, but also a safer alternative to often contaminated water, making them indispensable to public health and social life. Physicians' guilds. As towns grew, so did the need for specialized medical care, leading to the formation of physicians and apothecaries guilds. Other times, they were regulated through universities or municipal authorities. These guilds worked to regulate the practice of medicine, striving to maintain a standard of care and prevent quackery, though their understanding was often limited by the era's science. Physicians, often university-trained, diagnosed illnesses and prescribed treatments. Apothecaries, on the other hand, prepared and dispensed medicines, often from complex herbal remedies and natural substances. Their guilds set standards for the purity and potency of ingredients and the accuracy of compounding. Together, they formed the medieval healthcare system, offering what hope they could against the many ailments of the time, building the foundations for future medical practice. Religious or social guilds. Often referred to as fraternities or confraternities, these guilds focused on religious devotion, charitable works, and social support rather than trade. Members might pool resources for funerals, provide care for the sick, or contribute to religious festivals. They offered a sense of community and spiritual comfort, particularly in times of hardship. These organizations provided a vital social safety net and spiritual anchor in medieval communities, showcasing the intertwining of faith and daily life. Musicians' guilds. As medieval culture flourished, so too did the demand for entertainment. In some urban centers like London or Paris, musicians formed associations or received royal civic patronage, regulating membership and fees for formal performances. Musicians' guilds brought together minstrels, troubadours, and instrumentalists. Guilds ensured that formal events, religious ceremonies, and aristocratic feasts had access to skilled performers. They were the custodians of the era's sonic landscape, ensuring melody and rhythm endured. Porters' guilds. In bustling medieval towns, the movement of goods was constant. Porters' guilds were associations of laborers responsible for transporting raw materials and finished products within the city, or from docks and gates to markets and workshops. They ensured fair wages for their strenuous work. Their physical labor was the essential, often unseen, engine driving the urban economy. Scholars' guilds. While not always called guilds in the same sense as craftsmen, early universities often functioned very much like them, particularly the guilds of masters, professors, and guilds of students. They regulated admission, curricula, and the granting of degrees, effectively controlling intellectual pursuits and education. Professors as masters lectured, while students as apprentices learned. These intellectual guilds laid the very foundation for modern higher education, shaping centuries of thought.